All right, today we're cracking open the essential playbook for importing from China. And if this is on your radar for 2026, you've got to know the whole game has changed.
So, you're thinking about sourcing products from the factory of the world, huh? I mean, it can be an absolutely killer move for your business, but in today's world, it takes a lot more than just finding a cheap supplier. You've got to have a sharp strategy.
You know that old gold rush mentality of just jumping online and finding the cheapest thing you can? That's long gone. Success now demands a disciplined, almost data scientist approach. You have to think like a strategic operator, not just someone on a shopping trip. So let's break down exactly how you do that.
We've broken this playbook into 4 critical chapters. First, we're going to talk about finding the right partner. Second, and this is a big one, protecting your idea. Third, we'll tackle the logistics of actually getting your stuff home. And finally, we'll get into calculating the real price you're going to pay.
Okay, first up, the absolute foundation of your entire operation, finding that perfect factory partner. If you get this right, you can build a massive competitive advantage right from the get-go. So most international buyers, they start on Alibaba.com. Makes sense, right? It's in English, it's designed for us. But here's the inside track, the real secret weapon. It's 1688.com. That's the domestic version. And because you're buying like a local, you get factory direct pricing that can be anywhere from 30 to 50% cheaper. Why? Because you're cutting out that middleman's export markup. Tapping into 1688 is the real pro move. It's how the seasoned importers get their edge. Now, is it a little more work? Yeah, for sure. The site's in Mandarin, but the savings are just massive. And the biggest hurdle, which used to be payment, now has a pretty slick workaround. So, how do you actually pay on this site? Well, it's gotten way easier. Services like World First let you set up an offshore Chinese yuan balance. Just think of it like a digital wallet that holds Chinese currency for you. You link that wallet directly to your 1688 account, and when you go to checkout, you just select WorldPay. Boom. That simple step unlocks those incredible domestic prices for pretty much anyone.
All right, you found your factory. Great. Now we hit chapter 2. And trust me, you need to pay attention here. This is all about protecting your intellectual property, and relying on the legal docs you'd use back home is a classic and potentially business-ending mistake.
This quote right here just nails it. A standard NDA, a non-disclosure agreement, is designed to stop your partner from shouting your secret from the rooftops. But in China, the real danger isn't that they'll tell someone your secret, it's that they'll use your secret to become your #1 competitor. So what do? You use something totally different. It's called a China-specific NNN agreement. It is not an NDA. An NNN is governed by Chinese law, which means it's actually enforceable in their courts. It's built specifically to prevent the use of your idea, and most importantly, it has this powerhouse clause called non-circumvention.
Let's break down what this NNN actually does. It's built on 3 N's. Non-use and non-disclosure are pretty straightforward. But that third one, non-circumvention, that's the absolute game changer. It legally stops your factory from taking your product, going around you, and selling it directly to your customers. This is your legal shield. It's essential.
Okay, so you've got a partner, your idea is locked down tight. Now what? Well, Chapter 3 is all about the physical journey. Getting your products from their factory floor, across the world, and to your doorstep. The choices you make here have a massive impact on your costs and your timeline.
You've basically got 3 main options, and it's all a trade-off between speed and money. Air freight is super fast, but it's pricey. Perfect for high-value or urgent stuff. Ocean freight is dirt cheap, but it's slow, really slow. Great for bulky, non-urgent goods. And then there's rail, which is a nice little sweet spot in the middle. Here's a good rule of thumb. If your shipment's under 100 kilograms, air freight often just makes the most sense.
And here are a couple of pro tips that will save you a ton of money and headaches. First, always insist on FOB shipping terms. This just means your supplier is responsible for getting the goods to the port in China, but you control the main, expensive ocean crossing part of the journey. Second, consolidate. If you're buying from a few different factories, get them to ship everything to one warehouse over there and pack it all into a single container. That move alone can slash your per-unit shipping cost by over 40%. It's a no-brainer.
And that brings us to the final chapter, and honestly, this is the most important one. This is where so many new importers get wiped out because they just don't see all the hidden costs that stack up after the product leaves the factory.
Okay, I need you to really hear this. The price the factory gives you, that's just the tip of the iceberg. The only number that actually matters to your business, to your profit, is what's called the landed cost. That is the total all-in price to get one single unit from their factory to your warehouse ready to sell. And a huge chunk of that landed cost comes from duties and tariffs. But it's not just one simple tax. Think of it like a layer cake of costs. You've got your base rate, then you add on Section 301 tariffs, then you might have other fees on top of that. It all stacks up.
And some of those layers, like the Section 301 tariffs on strategic goods, are huge. We're talking 100% on EVs. I mean, that literally doubles the cost right there. 50% on semiconductors, 100% on certain medical supplies. If you don't know these numbers before you order, your profit margin can vanish in an instant.
Just look at that number, 46.5%. That is not a typo. That's how much all these extra costs, we're talking freight, duties, insurance, local transport, can inflate the original price you got from the factory. It is a massive jump that you absolutely have to plan for.
Let's make this real. Imagine you're buying 4,000 keyboards. The factory quotes you $5 a piece. Great deal, right? Well, after you add on ocean freight, customs fees, insurance, and the truck to get it to your warehouse, the true landed cost jumps to over $7.30. That's the 46.5% increase in action. You have to run these numbers for every single product, every single time.
And one last thing, and this is a really big one. You might have heard about this old loophole that lets you bring in small shipments under $800 duty-free into the US from China. Well, that's gone. As of 2025, that exemption was eliminated. So now, pretty much every single commercial shipment, no matter how small, has to go through formal customs and is subject to all those duties we just talked about.
So there you have it. That's the playbook for 2026. From finding a supplier on the inside track with 1688, to locking down your IP with an NNN, to calculating your true landed cost down to the penny. These are the strategic moves you have to make to win. So now you have the playbook? The real question is your business ready to play the game?